But you see now, vegetation has been cut off, so people are building, constructions are there, and so that space for that, for the waters to just come and drain into the soil is not there. Looking at the drainage systems we have, they are not very good drainage systems. Some of them are clogged, and to some extent it's even inadequate drainage systems. Some of the funds allocated for dealing with such issues, sometimes we lack track of them. I would tell you that for a fact, Kenya's government will not have enough funds to buy aeroplanes and boats for all of us, really. Very fine.
Welcome to Parents Africa Integrated Media, and this is the segment that we do Ask the Expert. So when you find yourself here, you are the experts.
Nice. Thank you very much.
You're very much welcome. So we're discussing about floods, who should be actually termed as a calamity disaster. And it has affected a lot of people. A lot of people have lost their lives.
Yeah.
The roads are impassable. Kuna wengine tu tunabebwa na ndege. Ndege lakini tunapepea tu hivi, but ni sawa. Asante sana kwa kuja.
Asante.
So we'll just delve into it. So please tell us who you are, introduce yourself, what you do.
So my name is Jaqueline Nyambura Irongo, and well, I was previously working at Kenya Red Cross as a youth development specialist, but I'm currently working in WIFLA organization. It's a youth organization where I am still a youth development specialist. Yes.
So this flooding issue, how does it involve you in your profession?
Nice. So working in the youth space, so we deal with everything from anything affecting the youths. So definitely the floods are actually affecting the youths right now. So because we actually occupy the biggest population in the country, so that we can say that we are the most affected by the floods, and that is where we come in as an organization as well.
So what actually does your organization do?
Well, we deal with any issues on development of youths, say capacity building. We do mentorship for youths. We do issues on climate change. We do issues on advocacy for youths. So we do anything that is youth-centered. Yeah.
Well, I'm very interested in what you've said about climate change. And why are floods happening more often in Kenya?
Nice. So I think the reason why there are the effects of floods are actually there most times is because of the high temperatures due to global warming. So after global warming, then there is a very high rise in temperatures. So that means that the air in the atmosphere is very hot. So once rain shower comes, then it comes with like a lot of rainfall. So that means that a lot in terms of millimeters of rainfall will now fall. And why floods are happening, I would say also, is because the lands that are there are not like the lands that were there in the past, because those lands they could be able to hold very high water masses and things like those. But now we have urbanization, we have buildings and structures where then it could otherwise be flood refill centers for the waters. So then we expect that there will be floods.
My second question is, okay, wait, you've said that the soil that is the one that we have right now, because obviously we can't imagine.
Yeah.
It's not the same that was there before.
Yeah.
Because the one that was there before, it could hold a lot of water compared to this one. Why?
Well, I would not say particularly the soil per se, but I would say the things that hold down the soil water. So see, those are things like vegetation, the things like trees, the tree cover. They're the ones that hold a lot of masses of water. So when it rains, a lot of water can now go into the soil and it is retained there, maybe for purposes of next time when there's not enough water for the plants. But you see now, vegetation has been cut off, so people are building, constructions are there, and so that space for the waters to just come and drain into the soil is not there. So I think that is why there is a lot of issues on floods. Another issue would be infrastructural issues, because now looking at the drainage systems we have, they are not very good drainage systems. Some of them are clogged, and to some extent it's even inadequate drainage systems. So once the waters come, then they don't have places where they can actually go down to. So that is why then the flooding will be there. Yep.
Thank you. So how are people living in the areas that are often affected by floods? How are they being impacted right now?
They are impacted in different ways. Number one, they are financially impacted right now because some of them had their sources of livelihoods on some of the businesses that have been affected. Say Mama Mboga was selling something and now the structures are demolished because of the floods. So right now, if I was the one who was my source of livelihood was in selling something and maybe my shop is affected, that means that where I was getting my income is no longer there, so I am definitely affected. Number two, on how they are affected is they have to use money for ailments, because right now if you look at the situation right now, common cold is on the rise, cases of pneumonia are on the rise, waterborne diseases are also on the rise. So people are actually using the money that they had to treat other health conditions, which is not a very good thing. Another thing, how they are also affected is they have lost the infrastructure that they had. Say maybe houses, some of them have even lost businesses, some of them have lost assets. So I think that creates a very big impact on the lives of people. And once you lose things like those, then you are very susceptible to getting mental health illnesses, depression, stress, and even trauma for losing such big things. Also, some other people have lost relatives in the floods. So I think it's not a very good situation to be in.
So how does you and your organization come through for such people?
How our organization then comes in is in terms of supporting, and by supporting is early warning, early action. So we actually send in messages to people about the situation that we have right now and what should people do in case there are floods, in case, so maybe dress warmly, make sure that you go to the high areas. So things like those, that is what we call early warning, early action. We also train youths on how to respond in emergencies, maybe like swimming and deep diving, saving populations. Yes, that is how our organization comes in, and also on offering mental health services to those affected by floods.
Thank you. What are the big problems for the government in dealing with these floods?
Nice. One of the big problem I would say is the problem of infrastructure. We've said that there is inadequate infrastructure to deal with the floods right now. So, and there's little or nothing they can do, especially in this season, because the rains are already there. They're there with us, they're here with us. So I don't think there is much that they can do right now. Maybe if they have to do anything, it should be after the rains. And another thing would be maybe corruption or embezzlement of funds. Some of the funds allocated for dealing with such issues, sometimes we lack track of them, as people just say, politicians are there saying that, oh, you remember about the El Nino politics. We don't really know whether that is true. So I think those are some of the issues that the government face, and having in mind that the flooding and dealing with floods is a collective responsibility that involves governments and other stakeholders and also community people. Sometimes it is very difficult for governance in terms of floods, because then all these people need to be there on the table to make decisions. All these people need to be involved. And sometimes gathering all these people is normally very difficult, and sometimes not difficult in terms of coming in terms of numbers, but difficult in making decisions, because you see things that involve decisions for more than 2 people is definitely difficult decisions to make, and people have very different perspectives on why are there floods. Say religious communities, some people will say, oh, it's because we've sinned against God, that's why there are floods. Some other people, like the experts in climate, will say it's because of global warming, that's why there are high temperatures, and then there's very high amounts of rainfall. So all those different ideas sitting down on a table, and they have to make one decision. Sometimes I think it makes it very difficult for governments to deal with such issues.
But they should give us boats though, and those planes that you're parading around here looking at us like, oh my God, they're dying. They should use those planes to help people and buy boats, don't they?
Well, I think, yes, I have seen organizations like Kenya Red Cross buying boats, and they're using boats for that. But I would tell you that for a fact, Kenya's government will not have enough funds to buy aeroplanes and boats for all of us, really, because we're also differently affected, no? If they give boats to places like, say, Mathare, yes, Mathare is affected, but I am just trying to think, when will they use the boats? How will they use the boats? Because already the infrastructure is already fit to have boats around or something like that. I think I'm tending to reason in that way.
For the boats, they just only need water. Their houses are, flooded. So I think that would be nice. And also like Mandela or things like that. Okay, it's our government as well. Okay, how are these floods changing life and money for the people in Kenya now and later?
In the future. So I'll start that question by now. How are the floods affecting the lives of people right now in terms of money? So just as I said before, it's like there's money maybe that you had to do an investment, a little investment somewhere, but now your property is down, and now maybe you have to renovate structures after this, and some of them have to even relocate because it cannot be renovated, or maybe some of the people are fearing that probably if there are other long rains, then this is still the same condition that will find me. So people have to now use their money on other things like relocation, and also rebuilding their houses and structures again. Some of the other way that people have been affected is through livelihoods. So some people were dependent on maybe agriculture, some pieces of land, livestock, and maybe now their livestock have been swept away, their agricultural produce has also been washed away by the rains. So these people have to start again from square zero. That is like very much to do. Also on issues like what we said about health conditions, now people have to use their monies and address or redivert their income to address their health conditions, maybe waterborne diseases, or the other common colds and diseases that come during rains and floods maybe. And another thing would be in the long term, I foresee the prices, the premiums of insurance covers going up, because now people have already known what havoc can come with rains. I think since I was born, I have never seen like such rains. I don't know if it's because I am so young, but I know definitely not. Even people maybe who are born way before me, maybe 10 years before me, have never witnessed such kinds of rainfall. So the premiums will definitely go high. So insurance organizations will be like, now we have to raise the fees or the premiums on housing and things like those. Another thing that I see changing in the long term would be how people buy houses. So most people buying houses and lands was just like, oh, there's every advertisement on land and everything. But right now you actually come to realize, oh, the piece of land that I had bought is actually a dam. Oh, sorry to say dam. But like it's a water fill. So you actually now notice that people will be very they'll be very keen to details on how they buy land, how they purchase land. And also most people would prefer maybe doing constructions by themselves and not giving other like real estate companies to actually do them, because they think that real estate companies will just come and wajenge tu mahali without really factoring in all that. So I think in the future people are going to be more cautious in how they buy pieces of land and how they build structures, I think. And also for the government, I am so sure they will definitely have to come up with how to handle floods, because I'm so sure this is a shock to both people and the government.